Hey everyone, glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about sober support groups and why they're such a big part of staying on track in recovery. Whether you're brand new to this or have some time under your belt, finding the right kind of support can make a huge difference. There are all kinds of support groups out there, and knowing what to expect can help you choose one that really fits your needs. The main thing is to find a group that feels supportive and uplifting, somewhere that you actually feel encouraged and not judged. You might have heard the phrase 90 meetings in 90 days. That's a common recommendation early in recovery because the first 3 months can be the toughest. Going to meetings regularly during that time helps you build new habits, gives you a solid sense of community, and boosts your confidence that you can do this. Research even shows that people who stick with meetings tend to stay sober longer. Remember, sobriety isn't a one size fits all. This is your journey, and support groups are just one of the tools to help you along your way. Now take a moment, pause the video, and let's discuss the quote. Surrounding yourself with people who are just as committed to living a sober life can greatly increase your chances of long-term sobriety. This quote means that spending time with others who are also focused on staying sober can help you stay on track with your own recovery. Their support, shared goals, and positive influence can make it easier to stay motivated and avoid relapse, increasing your chances of long-term success. Sober support groups provide more than just a place to talk. They help us meet others who are working toward the same goal of staying sober, of course. These groups can teach us skills for dealing with cravings, offer support during emotional times, and even give us accountability. But one of the biggest takeaways we all need to know is that we are not alone. Now take a minute, pause the video, and start listing some of the other benefits for sober support groups. We are all familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. Some of us might be even familiar with Al-Anon and Al-Anon. Each one focuses on a specific area. The beauty of 12-step support groups is that it's structured, peer-led, and widely available both in person and online. So let me just point out a couple. ACA is Adult Children of Alcoholics, or for those who were raised in an alcoholic or other type of dysfunctional family. CODA is for people working to end patterns of dysfunctional relationships and really develop healthy relationships. COSA is friends and family groups associated with Sex Addicts Anonymous. And COSLAA is for friends and family of people with a sex or love addiction, oftentimes associated with SLAA. The list of 12-step support groups really do just continue. EA is for those in recovery from mental and emotional illness. Families Anonymous is for relatives and friends of addicts. Narcotics Anonymous is for those in recovery from mental and emotional illness. Here are some additional groups. So basically, as you can tell with the last 3 slides, I'm sure if you're looking for some type of 12-step support group, there will be something for you. Now, this is a list of programs that have been partially patterned after 12 steps programs. They've changed a little bit just for their particular needs. So Celebrate Recovery is a Christian-focused 12-step program for recovery from various behaviors. Courage International is a Catholic ministry which ministers to homosexuals. Family Services is an addiction recovery program often affiliated with the Church of Latter-day Saints that uses 12-step principles still. GROW is actually a peer support and mutual aid organization for recovery from and prevention of serious mental illness. Homosexual Anonymous is just a group of people using a modified version of the 12 steps to help each other live an ex-gay lifestyle. Pagans in Recovery is really for neo-pagans recovering from various compulsive or addictive behaviors. Parents Anonymous for parents who have abused children. And then Schizophrenics Anonymous for those who are really affected by schizophrenia. Let's talk about Alcoholics Anonymous, or AA. It's one of the oldest and most well-known recovery programs out there. A lot of people in early recovery find comfort in knowing that AA is available pretty much everywhere, in person and online. It's really a peer-led, self-supporting fellowship of people who have a drinking problem. And it's open to anyone who wants to make a change. There's no fees, no age limits, and no education requirements. So what really sets AA apart is its foundation, the foundation of the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. So the 12 steps are spiritual principles designed to help people not just stop drinking, but to build a more meaningful and healthy lifestyle. That's where you might hear a lot of people just ask, what step are you on? And it's really about working through them as a lifestyle and not just a checklist. The 12 traditions, on the other hand, are more about how the group stays strong and united. They help AA function as a community and to keep the focus on recovery, not outside distractions. AA has some powerful literature. The most well-known is really the Big Book, which is full of stories and insights, and it even has its own dictionary. There are also books like A Man's Way Through the 12 Steps and A Woman's Way Through the 12 Steps that help people connect with material that is in a more personal way. So if you're curious or you think that it might be a good fit for you, you can learn more or find a local meeting at aa.org. It's all about connection, support, and giving yourself the best shot at long-term recovery. So let's take a minute to talk about Narcotics Anonymous, or NA. It was founded back in 1953 and is a worldwide fellowship for people who struggle with drug addiction. NA really describes itself as a group for men and women for whom drugs have become the major problem. And it's open to anyone who are looking for a new way of life, no matter what substances they used. NA, like AA, they do follow the 12-step model, but with a few wording differences that make it more inclusive of all types of substance use. They also have the 12 traditions, which help guide how the fellowship operates and stays focused on recovery. One thing that really stands out about NA is its supportive, judgment-free atmosphere. Whether it's your first meeting or your 100th, you're going to find people who generally understand what you're going through because they've been there too. They also have literature, including their own version of the Big Book, which is similar to the structure of AA's, but the wording reflects their focus on drug recovery. And the great part is, NA meetings are held daily in many areas. Plus, lots of regions have 24-hour helplines if you ever need someone to talk to or just need to find some type of meeting quickly. It's another powerful tool in the recovery toolbox and worth checking out if you're looking for connection and support from people who truly get it. Now let's dig deeper into adult children of alcoholics. This group is for people who grew up in families where addiction or dysfunction was really present. So it's not necessarily about having an addiction yourself, but more about healing from the lasting effects of that environment. So ACA really provides a space to work on things like your inner child healing, emotional sobriety, and breaking those unhealthy patterns that we may have picked up in our childhood. A lot of people don't realize how much their upbringing still affects them until they start doing this type of work. So the group was originally called Post Teen when it started back in 1973 in Long Island. And it's not officially affiliated with AA, but it does follow a 12-step structure that's been adapted to focus more on family-related trauma. In fact, ACA uses a unique combination of the traditional AA steps and an additional one created by its co-founder, by Tony A. One of the great things about ACA is how accessible it is. There are in-person meetings, phone meetings, and a whole range of online options. So no matter where you are or what your schedule looks like, there's a way to plug in. So if you're someone who grew up in a chaotic or emotionally neglectful household, ACA might be a powerful place to start making sense of all of it and really learning how to care for yourself in a stronger and healthier way. So next up is Codependence Anonymous, or CODA. This group is all about helping people who struggle with unhealthy relationship patterns, especially ones tied to codependency. You know, the kind of relationships where you might lose yourself trying to fix or please others, or even where your self-worth depends on how someone else feels or acts. So CODA was actually started by Ken and Mary Richardson, and it follows the 12-step model like AA, but with the focus on healing relationships and building self-esteem. The goal is to move from codependent behavior toward a healthier, more balanced connection with yourself and others. So the group really emphasizes on things like self-care, setting boundaries, and growing emotionally. And honestly, for a lot of people, just sitting in a room or on a Zoom call and hearing others say, I've been there too, is incredibly powerful. Meetings are free, and you'll actually find that it's a very supportive space where people are learning how to have more functional, respectful, and loving relationships, starting with the one they have with themselves. So let's talk about Celebrate Recovery. This is a Christian-based recovery program that blends scriptures with recovery principles, and it's open to anyone dealing with what they like to call hurts, habits, and hangups. That means it's not just for drug and alcohol addiction. It also supports people facing things like anxiety, codependency, compulsive behaviors, financial struggles, eating disorders, and more. So Celebrate Recovery was actually started in 1991 by John Baker, who was in recovery himself and a staff member at Saddleback Church. With the support of Pastor Rick Warren, it grew into an international program. The cool thing about Celebrate Recovery is that it combines the traditional 12 steps with 8 principles based on the Beatitudes from the Bible. So if faith is something that speaks to you, or if you're just looking for a structured, values-driven approach, this can be a great fit. Even if you're not religious, many people find the structure, community, and accountability really helpful. There are large group meetings, smaller breakout sessions, and the opportunity to truly connect with accountability partners, those people who are walking the same path and supporting each other along the way. All the group facilitators are trained and follow consistent guidelines so that there's a sense of safety and structure. If you're looking for a spirituality grounding recovery program that covers emotional healing as well as behavioral change, Celebrate Recovery could be worth checking out. Another recovery option is called SOS, which stands for Secular Organizations for Sobriety, also known as Save Ourselves. The group is a great fit for people who are looking really for a non-religious approach to recovery. It was founded in 1985 by James Christopher, who actually struggled with alcoholism since his teens. He originally tried AA, but found that the spiritual focus didn't quite work for him. So he created a new program that's based on secular humanist principles, self-empowerment, and rational decision-making. SOS puts the focus on personal responsibility and the idea that sobriety should be your top priority, no matter what. It's not about surrendering to a higher power. Instead, it's about owning your choices and making clear, practical commitments to stay clean and sober. The approach is rooted in science and logic rather than spirituality, and that can be really empowering for a lot of people. So the program offers mutual support in a group setting where members can actually share openly without judgment. Meetings are held both in person and online. There's also newsletters and special events throughout the year to really help people stay connected and even inspired. One thing about SOS that really sets them apart is their sobriety guidelines. These include affirming your identity as someone in recovery, committing daily to abstinence, and recognizing that even when life gets messy, when you're upset, stressed, or uncertain, using is not an option. It's about staying sober regardless of your circumstances. At its core, SOS reminds us that sobriety is our responsibility and our choice, and that we can build a fulfilling life prioritizing it every single day. So another recovery option is called LifeRing Secular Recovery, or just LifeRing for short. This is a peer-run secular recovery program built around the three core principles, often referred to as the three S's: sobriety, secularity, and self-direction. What makes LifeRing unique is that it's totally non-religious, but it's open and welcoming to people of all faiths. It's not about what you believe, it's about what you do to stay sober. The whole approach is strengths-based, meaning that it's really focused on empowering your healthiest, most capable self. In fact, their motto is empower your sober self. LifeRing is also pretty different from traditional programs in how it runs its meetings. They're democratically managed, relaxed, and really not centered around retelling past drug and alcohol stories. The vibe is more forward-looking, about what's working for you in that present moment. What goals do you have? And how you're managing life without substances. Another thing you'll notice, people in LifeRing don't have to label themselves as addicts or alcoholics. If you want to, that's fine, but it's not a requirement. The goal is to really create a space where everyone feels respected, supported, and free to build a recovery plan that fits their lifestyle. It's a great option for people who really want a more modern, self-directed path in recovery, especially if you're someone who likes structure, but also wants the flexibility to do what works best for you. So let's talk about SMART Recovery, which stands for Self-Management and Recovery Training. This program is a great option for people who are looking for a more science-based, practical approach to recovery. It is a secular program, so there's no spiritual or religious component, and it's really built around the tools from cognitive behavioral therapy, or for short, CBT. So what that means, instead of focusing on powerlessness or turning things over to your higher power, SMART helps you build the skills really to manage cravings, change negative thinking patterns, and make healthier decisions. It's all about self-empowerment and taking control of your recovery one step at a time. So SMART sees the addiction more as a learned behavior, something that can be unlearned rather than labeling it strictly as a disease. They said they also recognize that some people might have a predisposition towards addiction, so they leave space for that too. The meetings are extremely supportive and focused on problem solving, not confessing. It's a place where you'll learn practical strategies you can apply right away, and you don't have to adopt any specific labels or belief systems to be a part of it. So if you're looking for something that's rooted in more of the psychological and personal responsibility, where you actually build your own toolkit to stay sober, Smart Recovery might be a really solid fit for you. Let's look at the daily pledge. This one's a little different because it's completely online and it's a recovery community, which makes it super convenient, especially if you need support outside of a normal meeting time or live somewhere without many in-person options. The Daily Pledge is free and was created by the Hazelton Betty Ford Institute for Recovery Advocacy. It's designed to be a place where people can come together for encouragement, connection, and daily recovery-focused content. Think of it like a virtual meeting space that's open really 24/7. What's great is that it's not just for people in recovery from addiction. It also includes family members, friends, and anyone impacted by addiction. So really, it's a space for everyone who cares about healing and even mental wellness. You can jump into live chats, post in discussion boards, and participate in virtual meetings at any time. They even have a daily activities section on their homepage where people can post and share about their recovery. Kind of like saying, hey, I'm doing this out loud and I'm not alone. So if you're looking for flexibility, on-demand support that really fits into your schedule, especially if you're someone who benefits from checking it throughout the day, the Daily Pledge really is a helpful tool. So let's take a moment to really talk about Women for Sobriety, or WFS. This group was created specifically for women in recovery. It was actually founded by a woman who had been active in AA, but she felt like the program didn't fully meet the emotional and personal needs of a woman. So she created a space that did. WFS is all about building self-worth, emotional growth, and empowerment. It focuses on positivity, mindfulness, and helping women take back control of their own lives, starting with how they think and feel about themselves. So instead of like using the traditional 12 steps, WFS is guided by a statement of purpose and 13 affirmations that truly support emotional and spiritual healing. These affirmations encourage self-responsibility, healthy thinking, and the belief that lasting change is possible. The program is truly rooted in some powerful values of compassion, connection, empowerment, love, and respect. WFS also offers both online and in-person support, which actually makes it super accessible no matter where you are. It's a great option for women who want a recovery path focused on emotional healing, strength, and personal growth in really a judgment-free and affirming environment. So the last kind of recovery approach I really want to look at is moderation management, or MM for short. This program is a little unique because it's designed for people who want to reduce their drinking rather than completely stop, at least at first. It's geared to what they call non-dependent problem drinkers. People who recognize that alcohol is causing issues in their life, but aren't necessarily looking to quit altogether right away. MM was founded in 1994 by Audrey Kirschline. She didn't feel like she identified with the disease model of alcoholism and was looking for a different kind of help, something that felt more empowering and built on self-confidence and personal responsibility. So she created MM as a peer-led program focused on moderation, using tools like goal setting, self-monitoring, and principles from really the cognitive behavioral therapy. It's important to note that MM really isn't for everyone. Even the program itself acknowledges that for some people, abstinence is the only safe path. Again, abstinence is really the only safe path. But for those who aren't quite ready for that step or want to try like moderating at first, it might be a helpful starting point. Many people who begin in MM eventually decide to pursue full sobriety. The group is secular, it's peer run, available both in person and online. The community itself emphasizes self-esteem, mutual respect, and the idea that people helping people is what drives real recovery. Members take ownership of their own progress, and there's a strong focus really on that self-management and dignity. So if someone is looking for a little bit more of a flexible, non-judgmental space to really take those first steps, especially if they're unsure whether moderation or abstinence is right for them, MM might be a helpful tool in exploring what recovery looks like for them. So really, I want to leave you with this quote. Now take a minute, pause the video, and discuss the quote. Sobriety is a journey, not a destination. So this quote actually means that recovery isn't something you achieve once and then you're done. It's an ongoing process of growth, learning, and self-awareness. It really reminds us that staying sober requires continuous effort and commitment. Each day is part of the path, and it's not the finish line. Thank you.